This is Jeffrey Jones, also known as Triple J, coming to you with the Community Podcast. What we say community is only common unity. That is the tie between you and I. The tie for all, the tie that binds us, the tie that makes us, the tie that makes us whole. Thank you for being here with us for this common unity. Yes, welcome to the Common Unity Podcast, folks. Today we're here with Mr. DeVar Moran, and we're going to be talking some real talk. So, one of the things I want to talk about today is travel. We're going to talk about travel and how it expands your ability to see different things in the world. So, I wanted to talk to somebody who's traveled extensively and had an opportunity not just visit different places, but live in different places. So, Mr. Moran, could you please introduce yourself to the audience?
All right. First of all, I'm DeVar Moran. Um, this is my uncle, and I'm on his podcast, and I'm just in awe just to be on my uncle's podcast. So, I was born in Rochester, New York, Genesee Hospital. I don't even think the hospital exists anymore.
It doesn't.
Yeah, but I know a lot of our family was born in that hospital. Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So, my father, um, musician, moved out to LA. Had me in Rochester, but he moved out to LA. He did that twice. That's how I ended up in Los Angeles, California. So from New York to LA to Georgia.
Outstanding. Outstanding. And tell me, like some of the places you've been, I know you've traveled extensively. You've been from one coast to the other, from Maine to California. You've also visited as far as Hawaii, Vegas, a lot of places. What was one of the favorite places you went to, and what did you enjoy about it most?
Seattle, because a lot of people don't realize I used to drive trucks. I did that for about 3 or 4 years, and I love Seattle. I can't even explain it. The trees, there's something different about those trees because I guess it always rains. So the greenery and the simple fact that it seems like everybody is calm. A lot of people you know, like that grunge rock, and you have, how can I say it? It's still soul there. It's a lot of different things in Seattle.
A lot of diversity.
Yes, there you have it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one place I always wanted to visit. I never got out there. I went to Fort Lewis, Washington, and I stayed there for about a month, and I had a chance to go to Tacoma, but I've never made it to Seattle, and I've heard some great things about it. So
Yeah,
hopefully I can get a chance to get there one day.
yeah.
So when you're living in California,
hmm
I mean that can be a frantic lifestyle because everything's moving so fast and there's so many different things to see and do. That's a big change for living in Georgia.
Oh, where do you want to start?
I mean, they both have their ups and downs. They both have their perks. Tell me some of the things you like about living in California.
I love the weather.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I love the weather. So, but like you just said, perks is it's a different animal. I lived in LA in the 80s. Crack was big in the 80s.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, you know, laying on the floor when people are shooting, this is something that your mother is telling you. Anytime a gunshot goes off, DeVar, are you on the floor?
Right.
Yeah. I really didn't, when I lived in Compton, West Almond Street, I was right down the street. It might have been like 2 or 3 blocks from what everybody sees on TV, the big white building.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live 2, 3 blocks from that.
And that's a reality that most people have no comprehension of. I mean, we can see it on TV, but seeing it on TV has no real correlation to living there and the day-to-day things that happen while you're living there and what you see.
Yeah. So I was on the corner, like I said, West Almond Street. I had a couple of friends. They stayed not even that wasn't even a block. But what our parents would do with us, they would come out on the sidewalk and watch us walk to each other's houses. And that's how we got home. Uh,
Yeah, it requires a different level of diligence for parents in order to take care of the children. You got to see them and know what's going on with them at all times just to keep them safe.
yeah, it really is. You know, helicopters always flying around. But my thing is, when you see that white building, that's the courthouse, and that's also the police station. And we used to have the most violence on our street, but the police station is right down there.
That tells you a lot, doesn't it?
It tells you a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We wrote a book called Justice in America about a year ago. And that was one of the things that was explored was the over policing in certain aspects of the neighborhood, but then not taking care of the neighborhood. And it's amazing how they get away with that. You know, it's like you're supposed to be there to protect and serve, but that's not what truly happens in most cases. The protect and serve part is out of the window. So you really have to be in a position where the community, you take care of yourselves. Because if you don't, nobody else will.
Yeah. Oh, trust. I think I was about 6 years old, and my whole apartment got shot up. Like I said, police station right down the street.
Nothing happens.
Nothing until after the shootout. And then me and one of my friends, we come out the next day, and we're counting bullet shells
Wow.
all around the complex.
How's that for a little kid to see?
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have mental health. I'm not going to deny it,
Right.
but you don't need to see nothing like that as a 6, 7-year-old.
A lot of folks don't understand that a lot of children in those neighborhoods have post-traumatic stress.
Yeah.
And it's caused by things like that. So, you know, what most folks in the country never see, for a child to have to see and live with it, that can be traumatic. It really can. Let's flip a little bit. Let's go to a different setting. I know about a few years back, we had a great time, man. We had a great time, man. Hung out with all the family and
Yeah.
enjoyed the wedding, and
I love that.
it was different. Now, tell me, was Maine what you expected?
Not at all.
It wasn't.
Nah.
So tell the folks a little bit about Maine, what you enjoyed about it.
Well, let me see. How can I put this? I enjoy Maine because white people enjoyed me.
Different, wasn't it?
Yes, it was very different. And I couldn't explain it. They opened up and never even met me.
Right?
So for some people that never even met you,
Yeah,
it was,
different.
yes.
I
It's
can-
like,
I can-
how do you, because we on this right here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I'm like, man,
And I can honestly say, man, that it surprised me, the first time that I went there. Because, when I saw the demographics, I'm like, man, I'm going to have to get on my P's and Q's around here.
exactly.
And then I started to meet people, and what I found was that part of the country, some of the most genuine people you will ever meet are in
Exactly.
that part of the country. And when I say genuine, I mean from the heart. Those people don't look at you, the majority. You're always going to hear outliers. But the majority of those people don't look at you from the color of your skin. They look at you from your actions. You know what I mean? And if they see that you real with it and you are genuine, then that's how they are. And it's amazing, man, that most people would not think of being in that way, but most people have been there.
Well, see, the thing is, when I was in LA, I went to a private school, and I went there from 5 years old to what, about 12, 13,
Mm-hmm.
and Asians, Latinos, white people, black people. And I'm fortunate enough that my parents was able to put me in a private school. And then the things that I had to come home to was something different. So I always know how to interact with different races.
Mm-hmm. And change your social register.
Right.
Because like you say, at school you're living one way, but then in your neighborhood you can't live that way. You have to live another way.
Exactly.
But being able to code switch like that though, that's something that comes in very useful in life as you go through life.
Well, when I moved down here, I didn't even know where to sit at, for lunch. Because I look over there, I'm new. But if I look over there, it's black people over there, it's white people over here, and I don't see any in between.
No interaction between those groups.
Nothing.
Yeah, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, way different and it's amazing from Maine to California to Georgia, the difference in how people interact.
Right. And I told, my woman friend, I was like, y'all didn't even know that y'all did not know that y'all was still in that civil rights era and y'all was going to lunch together.
Yeah, it's crazy. The segregation aspect of it.
Right.
And they even further segregate themselves because, as an administrator working in schools, I noticed that you even had subgroups within those groups. Like most of the jocks would hang out together within their group, and then the people who were like to get high and stuff, they would have a subgroup over here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people who were there to learn, they would have a subgroup over here. So even within those groups, you had subgroups.
Right.
But they didn't cross over. It's like you didn't cross over. You didn't have the white athletes with the black athletes. You didn't have the white kids who got high with the black kids who got high. It's still separate.
Right.
It's amazing. And it's 2024, and you can go in high schools in this area. You still see that today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was a culture shock for me because I don't know where to sit. Now, what happened at Fort Middle School, Columbus, Georgia. What happened at Fort, we had a split lunch. So the people in my class, they start seeing that I was sitting by myself. And, they was loving my fashion, but they didn't know how to approach me because I'm not from here. So I just started sitting by myself. I was like, it's a whole long table right here. So what they started doing, even, white, whatever you were, we made that our table.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. Inclusion.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
We're not looking at each other by the color of our skin. We looking at people and judging people on how they act, who they are.
right. And see, I ain't never been one of them type of people that, nah, I'm gonna love you for whoever you are. And they kind of picked up on that I talk to anybody. But at the same time, I don't know where to sit down here. This is not my territory.
Right.
Yeah. So start doing that, and then you start seeing mixtures at different tables.
So when you look at that, if you had been relegated to living in one neighborhood, one geographical area all your life, do you think your life would be as well-rounded as it is now?
Probably not.
And I feel for folks because I've met a lot of folks like that. They never really, and it's sad. Some have never been outside of their city, but even worse than that, some have never been outside their neighborhoods.
Right.
So that's all they know. That's their whole frame of reference.
Yeah.
And it's not their fault. It's just the conditions they were put into.
Yeah. And that's sad. It's very sad because it's like things on movies, like everything that you see about LA, I've been through it.
Right.
Like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society. I've been through all that.
Firsthand.
Yeah,
Get to see it right up close.
right. Those neighborhoods I know.
Mm-hmm.
I know well. But I'm only 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. But I know well. Because my parents, they have friends that stay in the jungle. When Denzel is down there with all the Bloods,
Yeah.
it's called a jungle
One
for a
way in and
reason.
one way out.
You know it.
Mm-hmm.
You been there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So neighborhoods like that, even, when I go back to Rochester, they look at me differently. That's cool. I can handle myself pretty much anywhere.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
good with that. Coming down here, it's like, yeah, when I'm 12, 13 years old, coming here, they talking about gangs.
Right.
I done dealt with Crips and Bloods,
Yeah.
and I never understood why I always wore dark colors.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
Non-identify with those gangs.
right,
Right.
yeah,
Non-identify.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You will get dead real quick, especially if you flying them colors.
Yeah. You wearing the blue, you wearing the red. In some neighborhoods it's brown, some neighborhoods it's yellow.
Right.
But you gotta know where you're at and who you're around. In order to navigate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I didn't think about that till this morning. I was like, yeah, I always wear dark colors because I'm trying to be safe. I didn't start wearing bright colors till I moved here.
Right.
And then when I moved here, it was like, I always wanted to go to a public school,
Right.
and I didn't, my parents, and you're a parent,
Mhm.
you're much smarter than we are.
Parents tend to know things. It's not necessarily
Yeah.
being smarter, but it's experience.
Yeah.
Being in those situations.
Yeah. Parents put me in a Christian school.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't never go to school in the hood, but I always had to live in the hood.
Right.
So I get down here and I go to a private school and I'm like, y'all dressing like how we used to dress at a private school.
Mm-hmm.
And it blew my mind. It really did.
That's something to think about.
Yeah, it really did. It blew my mind. Everybody is shirts tucked, everything, and we talking about 93, 94.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Muskogee County School District, that was a thing they tried to do in order to model for kids, what's going to happen as you move on in life. As you enter the business world, you're going to have to dress a certain way. You have to carry yourself a certain way. And they still do that to a certain extent.
Yeah, but first day of school, I'm in there with sweatpants and a t-shirt.
Not used to seeing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah. So we're going to close out here in a minute. I want you to share one final thought for the youngers out there. Growing up in an area where you're not familiar with things, how do you go about familiarizing yourself with that area?
Oh, now that's a tough one. I would say
Would you think more through observation or interaction? Because I know most of us, when we travel like that, we do more observation than interaction until we see what's going on in those areas. And once we can determine who's doing what, then the interactions come. Was it pretty much that way with you?
I would say it's a little bit of both. Reason I would say it's a little bit of both because being that young, you don't know who's going to become who they are as an adult.
Right.
But at that point in time, yeah, it's a little bit of both.
Hello, everyone. This is Sandra Jones, co-founder of Community Podcasts. I'd like to say thank you to all our listeners and viewers. We're asking for positive vibes only. Thank you and have a great day.